What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Art Adventures. So today we're gonna go ahead and get ourselves a couple of different castles drawn. All right, guys, so our first castle, we're gonna do one that's a little bit more intermediate, not too easy, not too difficult. We're gonna start off right in the middle, and then we'll go ahead and get some more done as we go. So to begin, we're gonna do more of a full picture on these. So I'm gonna start on the bottom, and I'm gonna give myself about a 2-inch wavy line like this. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight. It doesn't have to be perfectly curved. It could be a little off center, whatever it might be. And so now you're gonna kind of pretty much find the middle of your paper and go over a little bit, give yourself some room here. And you're gonna draw yourself a line straight up like this, a little bit leaned to the left. And then we're gonna do the same thing over on this side. We're gonna give ourselves some room, about the same width here, about the same width here, to make it a little bit even. Straight line, try to keep those lines even from top to bottom. And if you need to adjust it, you can go ahead and adjust it. And so basically we're gonna make a little overhang on both sides, but we're gonna do a straight line across, touching and coming over a little bit, touching and coming over a little bit. That's gonna give us a little bit more of an overhang. So we're gonna go up on both sides, okay? And then you're gonna come over like a little minus sign, right? And you're gonna do the same thing and try to keep these as even as possible. Go down just a little bit and then over a little bit, about the same width as this, maybe even a little bit less, and come up like that. And you're gonna continue that pattern. Now what I would like to do is try to do both sides at the same time and just keep going back and forth to try to make it as even as possible, because sometimes you get to a point where it ends up getting they're different sizes, and once you get there, then it kind of sometimes can look a little wonky, and we need to fix it as much as possible. So, but go ahead and finish off this the entire way by taking your time. And that was pretty good as far as keeping it as even as possible. All right, so now that we have our basic foundation, we're gonna go ahead and go in the middle of this here, and the same thing here. We're gonna go up just a little bit, and that's gonna be our second level. We need to keep ourselves a lot of room up here for our top, and our top is gonna be another overhang here, line across, a little overhang there, and you wanna go ahead and find your center and imagine a line coming up, putting a dot on there. It's gonna give you a reference point of where you want to make your triangle steeple. Okay, and so here you're gonna go from this corner and you're gonna try your absolute best to get that as even as possible down to your next corner. Okay, there you go. You already have your steeple. It's gonna be a little bit different of a top here than it would be on a normal castles where we see the staggered bricks. Okay, so now that we have our basic body structure, we're gonna go ahead and add a lot more detail to make it more of a extravagant castle, a different variation of what the castle is gonna look like on each side. So it's not symmetrical. This one's gonna be a little bit more asymmetrical, so nothing is going to be exactly the same from one side to another. So we're gonna start over here, and we're gonna go under our overhang. We're gonna come out just a little bit, maybe about 2 inches or so. Give a little bit of a diagonal line here, and then you're gonna go up about a 45-degree angle, make that flat, and then we're gonna go over. We're gonna make these bricks again here. We're gonna continue that process all the way to the wall. Take your time. If you rush it, could get a little bit sloppy, which we don't wanna do. We're gonna try to make it as even as possible. So now that we have our second tower over here, we're gonna add another tower. It's gonna be similar to this one, just a lot smaller, a lot skinnier. And you're gonna start off here and go up close to about here, just not quite there yet. This one's gonna actually come up here, boom, and then our overhang, add an overhang on that side, and then we're gonna do another little steeple there. Connect that to the corner, connect that to the corner, and now you have a second tower. On this side, we're gonna do a third tower. It's gonna be one of these, but a lot larger. This one is going to come up a little bit higher, and let's do it just above this wall right here. Another wall at an angle, and then we are going to do our 45-degree angle, our 90-degree angle there, and then another brick wall like this. All right, so now you have an asymmetrical castle. That's pretty much it from our basic drawing, getting the lines done, getting the foundation in. So now let's go ahead and add some detail. We got to give ourselves a gate, a front gate, some windows, some doors, and so on. The first thing we're going to want to do is give ourselves a front entrance, and our front entrance is going to be a nice big arch double door, and try to keep it as even as possible from here to here. I know this side looks a little bit larger than this side, but it doesn't have to be perfect. We're here to have fun, practice, and enjoy ourselves. Split that into two. Go ahead and give yourselves your two door handles, and then we can go ahead and give ourselves some detail. And our detail is going to be these little arch windows, one here, and try to keep these again same size as all of them to the best of your ability. Here in the center of our open space closer to our doors, we're going to have some other little tiny windows. Sometimes castles have these windows that are a little bit more narrow, and that's like more for protection for the archers that stick out and protect the castle themselves. So we're gonna do these little crosses, do more of a medieval crusade style castle. Alrighty, and now we're gonna go ahead to our smaller tower here, and we're gonna do the same thing with the little arched windows. Up on top this one, we're going to do a door, and that door is going to be more of a taller arch that gets really close to the edge, as if this was more looking out at an angle and not necessarily a front view. Up here in this empty space, give yourself a little window. Up on top, we're going to give ourselves an arched doorway, and that arched doorway is going to be kind of cut off because this would imagine the floor being down here. So it would be a taller door, but since this wall is kind of protecting that doorway, you have only about half of the door showing. Same thing, we're gonna do two of these cross style windows. Alrighty, and then final tower is going to be a little bit larger of a window there, and another arched window there. There would be another window over on this side, but you won't be able to see it because it is at an angle and it's being covered by the rest of the castle. So, all right, now there's different ways of actually giving yourselves some detail, and these details are the bricks. How are we going to do the shingles? And there's many different ways that you could stylize your castle and all the details that it's going to have. And I'm going to do different styles on each one of my castle drawings. For this one, we're going to go ahead and do more of a stone layout. The stone layout is going to be a lot simpler than doing bricks. And basically, it's just like these organic oval shapes. All right, and now since we have our stones laid out, we're gonna go ahead and get the shingles done. And the shingles are gonna be pretty simple. It's gonna be more of a brick pattern, like shingles on a house. And that is going to be straight horizontal lines. Try to get them as even as possible as far as the width, so that it is uniform across the entire thing. I'm doing slight curves on this one since it is a round structure, and it'll give it a little bit more of a three-dimensional look. So once you have those, then it's as simple as this. You can do one here. You're gonna skip this line, one here, skip that second line, one here, skip that line, one here. It's every other. And so now the next thing is not lining up those lines, but you're gonna off center them, stagger them. And it's gonna be the same thing down. There's multiple ways to learn how to do these brick patterns. This is one method, and I'll show you the next method on the next little steeple over here, which is another easy way to do it. But it is something that is going to speed up your process of doing these fine little details to make your castle kind of come to life and have a lot more detail in them. All right, so now we're done with this one. We're gonna jump onto this one. It's gonna start off with the same exact technique as far as the horizontal lines. Those are going to set the stage for the detail that you're gonna put onto this. And I'll show you how to do the next step. Okay, I'll start here, considering it's gonna go up and it might be a little bit easier. So I'm gonna start in the middle. Okay, and I'm going to lay myself a brick layout like this on the first row. Okay, the second row is going to just offset, and it's going to be in the middle of this here. We're going to go right in the middle of each one of those bricks from the first level, and then we're going to do the same exact thing for this one. We're going to off center it so it'll be in the middle, and if you notice, everything's going to line up. So you can look at the row 2 rows below and get the actual pattern that you're supposed to be starting with. So it's fairly simple. It does take a little bit of patience to get it completed, but it will work out in the end and give you a nice brick pattern for those two steeples. All right, and so now that we have our actual castle done, we're gonna give ourselves a little bit more detail in the actual foreground to make the scene look a little bit more complete. And so I gave myself a little pathway, and the pathway is gonna get a little bit wider as it gets closer to you. And that's just gonna give you guys a little bit more depth perception on your actual front of your castle, on your pathway. And to give yourselves a little bit more detail, all you have to do is really put down like little baby M's and N's, little lowercase letters to give yourselves a little bit of detail. Kind of makes it look like rocks or stubble. They don't have to be perfect N's, they don't have to be perfect M's. And you can put some a little bit closer to each other to give it a little bit more variation and not just one thing here and there. All right, and now since we've done our pathway, we're gonna go ahead and get our grass done. You can also give yourselves a couple little weeds and bushes and flowers and stuff like that. Give yourselves a full-blown landscape if you want. This one's gonna be very simple. Since we have a very detailed castle, I wanna make this as minimal as I can. So no bushes on the side and things like that. It's just going to be a simple landscape, and that is just going to be like these little squiggly lines, and it's kind of like the lowercase n's and m's, but these are going to be a little bit more sharp and sporadic around, and that's going to kind of show a little bit of height in grass, different variations of grass and weeds. All right, and now since we have our castle, we have our front foreground and landscape, we just want to give something in the sky because the sky is kind of blank. And instead of doing one solid color in the back, we want to give ourselves a little bit of uniqueness to this as well. So if you want to make it a night scene, you could do clouds and a moon and different things like that. But I love Star Wars, and I love that Tatooine has 2 suns and a double sunset. So I'm gonna go ahead and give ourselves 2 different suns in the background to give ourselves a little bit more detail, so we're not doing just the same exact thing over and over. And so I'm gonna go over here where I have a little bit more space. This is very tight, and if I drew more stuff in this area, it would be a lot going on. And so since I have so much space on this side, I'll give myself a small sun here, okay? And then I'll do myself a lot larger of a sun here to kind of give it that Tatooine feel. If you want to give yourselves like some sun rays and stuff like that and make it a little bit more cartoonish, that's fine as well. I'm gonna leave it like this because I like the way that looks. So it's not too detailed, but it gives ourselves enough to move our eyes around the entire picture. All right, well, there you go. There you have your actual drawing. If you want to keep it black and white, keep it black and white. If you want to go ahead and give it color, go ahead and give it color. All right, guys, well, there you go. There you have your castle with a double sun. So this one's a lot more detailed than the one that I'm gonna do on the next video. So if this is a little bit too advanced for you, that's completely fine. Go ahead and wait till the next video comes out and you'll enjoy it. But I am very happy with how the actual castle came out. The foreground, you got your double sun there. And it just looks good. I really enjoyed this one. Anyways, with that being said, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.